Hello and welcome to this edition of Eat Right with Rouses. I'm your host, Keith Weissack. Thank you so much for joining us as we welcome in our favorite dietitian from Rouses, April Sens. Hi, April. How are you?
Hey Keith, I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing very, very well. Loving this weather. And look, it's time for us. It's cooler outside. It's time to turn up the fire, right?
Hey, I know. Warm up with the oven. I know this time of year, whenever we finally get like a little cool snap, turn it makes us want to bake and roast and things. So this is perfect for this segment because we're going to be talking about National Roasting Month.
Oh, my.
And yeah, so I think this is a great opportunity to talk about roasting vegetables.
Okay.
Roasting vegetables is one of the easiest ways to actually cook vegetables. It's also a great way to try vegetables that maybe that you've tried and cooked a different way, and then you've always wondered, wonder how that tastes if I would roast it. This is a great opportunity to do that. One that I'm going to be featuring today is Brussels sprouts. I love Brussels sprouts roasted. A lot of times people will tell me they've had Brussels sprouts in the past, maybe they have been boiled, or cooked in another way, and they weren't a big fan of it. I always tell people try roasted Brussels sprouts because that gives it a whole different, it's like a game changer.
Mm.
Now, some other things you can roast is going to be all different hearty vegetables. You can even roast some potatoes. One tip I'm going to give you though is to make sure that you kind of have about the same size vegetables whenever you roast them. So you don't want to have big chunks of potato and little bitty pieces of carrots because they're all going to cook a little unevenly. So make sure that they're basically about the same size. Cooking with some herbs and spices can also be a great option as well. And I'm going to show you a couple of things that I'm going to add to these Brussels sprouts to make them just really, really just dance in your mouth pretty much. Okay. So this recipe is actually on rouses.com. You can find tons of recipes on rouses.com for many, many dishes. You can also go to Rouses as well and buy some pre-prepared items as well. So let me show you what I did. I bought the Brussels sprouts whole, like fresh and whole, and then I cut them in half. I like to cut them in half because you get that flavor inside and the outside. And the little leaves on the outside kind of add a nice crispness to the dish. So I'm going to put this on this pan. I'm going to set my oven at 375. And this is going to take about 30 minutes to cook. Okay, so this is a really simple dish. This is not something that you have to babysit for a long time or anything like that. It's going to cook pretty good. You're just going to set your oven timer, make sure you don't forget about it. And then some other things we're going to add is going to be some baby carrots. So I'm going to put my baby carrots. You can mix these all together. And then I have my Rouse's olive oil in my hand right here because we are going to add that. But first, I'm going to show you. I bought some fresh dill. This goes really great with this recipe. You can also add some other fresh spices, or you can grab some dried Rouse's spices as well and use in seasonings, and you can use those instead. So either way. And then I'm going to add a little salt and pepper. And then I'm going to add also some of my Parmesan cheese. And so I have some Rouse's shredded Parmesan cheese right here. And then I also have some Rouse's garlic powder. I'm just going to throw a little bit of that on top. And then I'm going to add the oil. So you want to be a little bit generous with the oil because this is going to help the roasting process and not dry the vegetables out when you have them in the oven. So you want to make sure that it is well coated when you put this together. I also have a piece of parchment paper on the bottom here. That's basically just to make it a little easier on the cleanup, but you can bake it right on the pan as well if you want to. Now, another tip is when you put your vegetables on the pan, you want to make sure that they're all flat and all of your vegetables can see the oven. Okay, so you want to make sure that it's all flat and in one layer. That's going to help your roasting process as well, because if you have too much piled up on there, it's going to take longer to roast, and your bottom ones are going to have sort of a different texture than your top ones. So once that's roasted for 30 minutes in the oven at 375, and if you like it a little bit crispier, you can leave it in there 5 minutes longer if you want. then you can plate it up. Now, I already made some right here, and I have it all plated up. And I'm gonna tell y'all, I love it when they get nice and kind of brown and toasty like that. That's my favorite kind. And then what I did was I just dressed it up with a little bit more dill on top. And then I took a little bit of my Rouse's balsamic glaze and just put a little bit on top of there. And then now it's ready to serve and ready to go. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, and you get to bring all of those flavors together because, all of those have some unique flavors. Brussels sprouts are one of those things that, it's kind of like the Dallas Cowboys. People either really like them or they really don't. But I like the fact that sometimes you need to reevaluate. Roasting them makes a huge difference. Brussels sprouts taste so much better roasted than any other way. And
Yeah.
when we cook them at home, the smell kind of fills up the house, and you can actually, the texture of those outer leaves with a little bit of that olive oil on it is fantastic. And so it is really wonderful to be able to experience that.
And
And
even you could even roast some mushrooms. I mean, there's so many things that you could roast, and it adds just this really nice depth of flavor. And then you can even take it and then you could put it on top of a salad after, or you can, I mean, you can basically just, do different things with it. Throw it in an omelet. I mean,
and
you can
you
do
can
so many
you can
things.
roast anything, and that's a really
Yeah.
good thing. Great idea to roast in November. April, thank you so much. We appreciate it as always.
Thank you so much, Keith.
All right, and that will do it for this edition of Eat Right with Rouse's. And don't go anywhere. We got a whole lot more local programming here on HTV.